Hello and welcome to this live stream featuring imagery from Nature Set number 41. We created this stamp sketch in the previous Friday Night Live, and I'm going to finish it off with some blue tones, and I just have enough space here for this full moon from Nature Set number 35, and it's a glow-in-the-dark full moon that I can use in there. It's almost a little bit too big for that space. I mean, I could put it right over the top of that tree. Maybe I'll do something like that. I don't know. But this is a little printable glow-in-the-dark vinyl sticker paper. And those are always fun to do because they're light reactive. And when I put this in the dark, that moon should glow with a little bit of light retention. Okay, so we have a lot of different choices here in terms of what we can use to color this. I think I'm gonna go multimedia here. And let me grab some blue tones here. I'll make this one pretty fast. The fun thing about going with something with a strong light source is that we can create a reflective light down in the lower area and on our objects. This is supposed to represent water in here, so I'll have some moonlight on the water, and it should give us some opportunity to create some shimmering water and that type of technique on there. Okay, so basically our moon light is going to be coming from right in here, and we'll have this little corridor of light in here, meaning or how that'll translate is I'll have the area around here a little bit darker, and then these two areas right here with these land masses will be casting some shadow. Maybe not this one so much because the moonlight will be coming over here. And then we already have our shadow from our moose being cast down there. The shadow's not really going in, the ideal direction, but, we're not going to get that technical here. Okay, so let's see here. I was just about to use a cotton ball for my dye-based ink. Use any kind of dye-based ink that you want. You don't have to use dye-based inks. You can do this whole thing in something like colored pencils if you want to. You can use your alcohol markers, whatever you want. Okay, the concept's still going to be the same in terms of the lighting of this scene. Okay, I'm just using a paper towel with some dye-based ink here, and we'll start adding this in. I like to go from the outside edges, and then I work my way in to the scene towards my light source. Okay, let's see. This pad seems a little bit dry. I'm not sure if I have a re-inker for this memento. I might not. I'm going to use a re-inker for another blue pad, though. Any kind of light blue that you have, or medium blue would be fine. Okay, now I have a lot of ink here, so I need to be careful about that. That's going to apply so much faster. I'm staying away from this interior here because I have a lot of ink on here. I'll wait till I kind of apply a good amount of it to where I'm kind of doing, somewhat of a dry brush. And it's starting to happen right now. I can get these variations in here. If you start off with a really super wet applicator, whatever type of applicator it is, just be kind of careful about where you apply it or how much you apply in the areas that you want to retain, lighter imagery or areas, okay? All right, so see right in here, my moon, I don't need to spend too much time around in here because my moon is going to go in there. But again, let's see, let's cast a little bit of shadow areas right in here. And we'll put some shadows behind those distant trees. All right, we have something like that. I think that's pretty good in terms of our kind of our lighting scheme. I like to oscillate my light. If there's a corridor of light here, I don't want it just all light in there. I just kind of break it up, but there's light, dark, light. A little bit of darkness right here. You gotta have that all open in there if you want to. And light, but I like to oscillate it again though, so you can see it's going from dark, light, a little bit of darkness here, light, and dark. So it varies the surface a little bit. Okay, now this is dye-based ink on dye-based ink. I am getting a little bit of smearing of my impression there, but we're going to be using a lot of different colors in here, so that's not going to really matter too much. I don't want a really super dark streak of black across there where it's streaked, but if you are going across some wet or still moist ink, instead of like streaking across there, you might want to kind of tap it instead, and then you won't get that kind of streaking kind of action going. All right, well, let's see. Let's go ahead and use a little bit of a darker tone now, and I'll go a little bit more perimeter oriented with this one. In other words, I won't go into the interior quite as much. I like to make my four corners quite dark in my scenes just to create a strong vignette and framing around my compositions. Darker corners tends to pull the viewer into the scene a little bit more, from a compositional aspect. And it also gets rid of kind of the stronger angles, the 90-degree angles when you're working on just a typical card. That's not rounded or oval or something like that. All right, that is that. And let's go with a little bit of black, talking about that vignette type of effect here. Really strong dark lower right corner where these trees might be casting a shadow at nighttime in the moonlight. All right, so we have that. Now, these inks that I've used so far aren't really very bright, okay? So I want to add in some intensity into the scene. Everything's a little bit dull right now. We have a good kind of spectrum of a range of values in here going from light to dark. But let's add in some additional effects like that. Let's see. So I have some alcohol inks here and a range of blue tones in my colored pencils. Let me go with the blues first, or the colored pencils first. Here's a little bit of a warm blue. It's a little bit of an aqua blue. And we'll just layer that right over the top of the dye-based ink, okay? If you're doing this kind of sequencing, you want to kind of think about what order you put these in, okay? So the dye-based inks are water-based ink, and colored pencils are, of course, like, kind of, they're waxy. So sometimes you can lay down some colored pencils first and then go over it with the dye-based inks, and it might apply, but just in general, your liquid inks might not adhere very well over the top of a waxy sealed paper, so you might want to put the pencils after your liquid media. But you can just test it out. I'm going to use some alcohol inks over the top of this, and these colored pencils sometimes aren't quite so porous that it won't accept, additional tones or additional media right over the top. But you can just kind of experiment around, or when you apply your colored pencils, just do it in a lighter fashion. And it'll probably be open to, additional applications of other types of media. All right, so there's a little bit of warmth in there. It's a blue warmth, so it's not like oranges or anything like that. Here's another kind of lighter blue, but it's about the same kind of value and intensity as kind of those previous inks, but it might make it a little bit richer just from having an additional layer on here. Just kind of potentially the more media that you build upon each other in areas, I would say, the richer and more vibrant something can become as a result. Okay, this is a little bit of a kind of more of a navy blue right here. And I'll add that into my shadow areas a little bit more. I might not use it as extensively as the lighter tones, though. I might be more kind of shadow oriented with my darker tones. You can see this tree right in here where I've kind of added it to the lower area of those clusters of, I don't know, what do you call it? The bows, pine bows. And on this tree right here, I might kind of darken the left-hand side of it more so than the right, because I'll have my moon coming from that over to the right of it. And I'm kind of concentrating a little bit of this tone underneath my objects to create a little bit more of a kind of a deeper shadow effect. Hitting the shadow area down underneath my moose. And with this tone right here, it's starting to get a little bit richer, I would say. You just kind of keep building it up a little bit. Hello, Bill, how are you? And kind of the richness starts to kind of reveal itself. How's your Sunday going, Bill? Okay, another dark blue. And one of the things about the colored pencils is, of course, you can get a lot more detailed with it than using something like this. So you can go with your wide applicators for large areas of color application, and you just work with the tools that will give you whatever mark you desire. So I want this colored pencil. The colored pencils are pretty good about covering large areas pretty fast too, but you can also get very detailed with them. And if I want to go with a lot of kind of a range of tones with my colored pencils, I kind of need to be careful about not building it up way too much, like not going with a super dark application like that. Because this paper that I'm using is a semi-gloss. If you're working with like a matte paper that has a lot of tooth to it, you can really build up your colored pencil marks and layers. But this paper is fairly smooth, and it is coated, so you don't want to build up like so much that you can't get, if you're building up to black or something like that, it won't allow you to do that. Just because you're trying to put wax into wax. Just got up from a nap. Ah, hope you're well rested then. Gloomy though, huh? I'm probably gonna go outside and water my little um, seedlings. Over the summertime, I didn't water them enough, I don't think. So a lot of them just didn't take. They got zapped, after they came up, and they never really kind of developed very well. I was watering once a day, but I thought, yeah, I really needed to water apparently twice a day. Maybe early morning and afternoon or something like that for those little seedlings. Okay, going in and layering in some additional, these are pretty light tones of alcohol inks here. So it's just kind of adding in another transparent layer of media. So alcohol inks, dye-based inks, they're all transparent. Colored pencils are translucent, they're not completely opaque. Even when you lay them down pretty hard, you can still see some tones coming through them, so. Okay, this blue right here is pretty strong, so I might lay some down like this, but it's a little bit too harsh like that, so I'll go back and I'll blend that in, or I don't know, what is it, blend it out? I don't know. Lay some down like that, then I'll go back to my, I don't know, one of my lighter tones. It's not really a light tone, but it's a lighter tone, and I'll just do some blending. And you can blend pretty well on this paper here, especially I'm kind of blending in some of the tones over the top of that wax, so a lot of this alcohol is sitting on top of the wax, as opposed to, applying on the paper, because we've already laid down a bunch of layers in here. So this is kind of good too, because I can kind of blend out some of that darker tone. So I'm getting kind of it's like a combination of some of these lighter tones in here and that darker one, but you can see the richness in here. I'm not really doing a great job in blending here, but I don't really worry about that, because I'm going to come in here and we're really going to be adding a lot of texturing in here with the acrylic paint pens, which is one of my favorite little techniques. Just to bring out some, I don't know, additional texture. It's just additional color too, but it's really kind of like, kind of the illusion of shimmering, reflective, specular light. One of the areas to make, kind of bright, I wouldn't say it exciting, but it's in those shadows, so you have darker areas of your trees. You can add in that tone right in there. We're talking about veggies, a little bit of veggies and herbs. Yeah, veggies and herbs primarily. I don't know what we had. The tomatoes did really well, but it was other things like chives, marjoram. Yeah, the veggies like some red peppers and kind of hot peppers too. Everything was like really small. Before it started going to, it never, a lot of them didn't develop. Just before they kind of started going to seed too fast. So I don't know, I guess it just got zapped with too much heat maybe early on. And then, I don't know, whatever. They got zapped with some heat and probably sent the signal to start, try to seed as fast as possible maybe. And in this one planter box, it's a raised planter, and it's made with those what do you call them? I don't know, is it masonry bricks or something like that? And I have a feeling that the heat from that the walls of that planter box was just too hot. So it made the soil, I don't know, whatever, the soil and just that overall kind of area too hot. And so a lot of the things in there just didn't take. But a lot of the things are doing better now with just these cooler temperatures, in Southern California, we can kind of grow year round. So things like cilantro, it's doing much better now. And I heard that it's more of a cooler weather type of herb, but I don't know, we use it year round. So I tried to get some of that going, but it just it didn't take. I don't know. I've never had really great luck with cilantro, except one time in this place that I lived before. I don't know. That cilantro got like 3 feet tall, and just huge. And it just came up as volunteer too. I had some cilantro that was sitting in my fridge for a while, and all right, we're moving into some paint pens here. And I'm going to start adding some shimmering light down here. So whatever color you're using, you just want to use it in an area that's a little bit darker than it, okay? If I use it in the light area, these dots are going to look dark, but I want these to look like shimmering light. So what you do is you apply it. See, this is like the exact same tone it is right here. So I need to come out into here, and they'll show up, okay? So I won't be using this too much, but this is kind of like my darker highlights right in there. You see how that kind of brings it out right out here? Yeah, but that cilantro, yeah, they were all like little scrubby little, efforts before they started going to seed. But they're doing a little bit better like this time around. Too much eat would do that. Yeah. Heat, not eat. I should, you're like a succulent guy, right? Or everything. I should grow some of those too. I don't really have too many of them. I had one of the, I don't know what you call it. God, okay, I already forgot about it. It almost looks like, it's not a pickle brush, but there was this succulent. It's a fire something. I forgot what it's called. But that grew that in a previous yard just from a little trimming from my aunt. And that thing got huge, huge stalks. And it has this kind of milky, almost, it looks like, maybe a lot of the succulents have that type of thing, but it looks like Elmer's glue when you break a little piece off. That white, milky kind of substance. Okay, let's add in some highlights into our trees. This is where the trees start taking on a little bit more of a three-dimensional look too from these, I don't know if they're highlights, but just kind of, whatever, textured kind of bows or needles, clusters, I guess, needle clusters. I'm using a 3mm paint pen here. So it's a pretty large dot. And then I'll get more detailed. I kind of work from large to small. I take care of the larger things first with the larger pen here. I mean, you can get kind of a smaller dot if you just kind of touch it down a little bit. But for the most part, it's pretty consistent with that ball tip like that, or bullet tip. And I kind of want to create this kind of corridor of sparkling light across there. Sticks on fire. That's what those kind of look like. I totally forgot the names of these types of plants, these succulents that I used to have before. All right. Let's see. Let's go into white here. I'm kind of working in multiple tones. I go with the darker, to light like this, just like I do with my other types of media like this. Kind of darker and lighter tones of every type of media. If you're going, multimedia. Now before, I mean, we didn't used to have a lot of the different colors of things like paint pens, so I would just use white. But now you can really go and bring in a lot of richness to a scene just by adding in different tones of these kind of detailed types of whatever detailed tools. I wouldn't call this it's like so detailed right now, but if I use like the 0.7 millimeter one, those are pretty detailed. Like this is still like a 2 millimeter probably. These are the Jane Davenport ones. Customer, a fellow stamper of mine, sent me some of these. They went to, I think they got them in Australia or something. I mean, there's a lot of these types out there. It doesn't have to be this brand, but yeah, these, they work pretty good here. She gave me these brush tip ones too that are pretty cool. All right, so I'm adding in quite a bit here. It's starting to get very textural and kind of busy, but I'm adding in more of these little dots than would look good if I were just doing that, okay? I'm going to be bringing in some white pigmenting over the top of this, which mellows out a lot of this kind of busier activity, but I just want that kind of shimmer to be underneath there. But the white pigment ink applied over the top of it is going to really kind of mellow all this out, so it's not going to look like so, kind of crazy with all these textures like this. You don't have any paint pens. Yeah, Bill. Yeah, I just jumped on here. I figured, probably everyone's busy with the holidays. I thought I'd go live though because it simultaneously posts to Facebook though. I was just gonna do this as a pre-recorded, but I thought, let's get it on the multiple platforms, and then it's always up there for anyone to see at any time. I think it's been a while since I've been on like a Sunday afternoon. All right, 0.7 millimeter. Yeah, I don't know, Bill. I mean, if you like paint pens, these paint pens, like this set right here, the Artistros, phenomenal deals on them these days. I thought, and I've said this before, but I thought that $1 a pen, roughly, was a pretty good price for paint pens, and they were. Like, I don't know what it was, 2 or 3 years ago when I bought my first set. But now that same exact set is like, it's a 42 color set. And that set on that Amazon Prime Day, it was like $13 or something like that, or 12. I don't know where it was. And I thought, oh my God. So I bought another set, even though I didn't really need them, because these things are still working really good. But some of my pens were, I'd used up a lot of the paint in them, especially the lighter tones, the tan, the beige one, and the white were largely used up. So I just got another set. I figured out what the heck, they seem to last forever. But anyways, what I'm getting at is after that Amazon Prime Day type of thing event, I don't know, it only went up like $1 or $2 after that, so it's still like extremely inexpensive. Now the Artistro ones, what I've found is they last pretty long. I've tried some other sets, and some of the other sets, it seemed to be the paint kind of. You can see what those pens did on those tree trunks. It really kind of brought out the structure of the trees. The Artistros, sometimes I wish they were a little bit more opaque. Because I have to go back and redo some things. Because when it dries a little bit darker. But the other side of those, they just never clog up. So they have a pretty good combination of, or ratio, I should say, of pigment to binder, which is, water in this case with the acrylics. So, yeah. If you ever get some paint pens, I'd recommend storing them on their side as opposed to upright, just because it'll be faster to shake it up and use. But I have some pens that were more opaque and it was beautiful, but it crusted over and it dried too much, probably because they had more pigment than binder in them, and it was just swung so much more towards the pigment, which made them richer and more opaque. It was really fun to use them, but just sitting around it was like a few months, and it started crusting over. Now I can kind of get them going again by kind of rubbing them. Not these ones right here. These ones are like 4 years old, but that other brand, you can kind of use them again, by getting that crust off. But it was just like too much work, So, a slightly more watery pen, and these ones aren't so diluted that it doesn't look good. I really like the look of them, but like I said, they do dry a little bit duller. Okay, so here comes the white pigment ink. We're gonna put our moon up here, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll still think that will look pretty cool. And plus, that's a glow-in-the-dark moon there. But I'm adding in this pigment to vary the distant objects a little bit in this case. So we get this kind of moonlight over our objects, and it looks a little bit more like lighting in the scene. Okay, now see this kind of darker tree right here. It's a uniform dark tree, and I think it looks fine like that. But if we just kind of put a little bit of tone over the right side of it, it looks like that light is hitting it a little bit. We can do that up here too if we want to. So you just you don't want to put on a big blob of paint, but just a little bit like that. So when you do this, you want to apply it with a really dry applicator here, okay? All right, let's get some of this mellowed out down here. We have this corridor of light right here that'll be cast by the moon when I put it up there, but let's put some of this pigment ink right in here. So these little dots of colored acrylic paint are going to get a little bit lighter. And they're crisp right now, but they'll become a little bit more diffused, by putting in like a haze of white over the top of them. Like this, and this mousse is I'll have it standing in a little bit of like this mist right at the base. So the way you do that is you can just put a really light layer of white pigment ink over the top of it, and it looks like it's kind of been standing in kind of a softer light, and again it kind of represent kind of like this mist on the water that's getting illuminated like that. Oh, I was on yeah, people don't watch the Facebook ones too much live on there. It is, some people comment, but I can't comment back on there because I can't see them. We can only see the comments from Facebook, the Facebook chat function. All right, look at how that one looks a lot better right in there with that fog in there. Let's see, let's go down a little bit more. So it's like bringing some right in here too. And just kind of varies the terrain a little bit more. It's a little bit more interesting having that kind of atmospheric touch in there. And this is one of those few things that we can do in kind of with traditional stamping media. Okay, everything is usually looking pretty crisp, you know, in our scenes. We want crisp impressions. We want things to stamp out nice and crisp. And then we color. We want things nice and clear and everything like that. And I want all that. But I like the variation of softer types of areas or objects within a scene, or a partial object. So we have areas right in here that are softer, but up here it's more crisp. So you get that contrasting textures dynamic going on. Okay, let's make this a little bit. I added quite a few dots in here, but let's add a little bit of this down here. It's like a brighter kind of illuminated mist. And then all these little sparkling touches will be kind of, you know, sparkling, I don't know, whatever, underneath that fog or mist like that. So it's just not so extreme. So I want these dots to be nice and crisp, but also I want them to be nice and soft too. And you get that nice corridor of moonlight coming through. Let's add that moon in here. Okay, so this moon is stamped out again on the glow-in-the-dark vinyl sticker paper. And glow-in-the-dark, or just vinyl, printable vinyls, I should say. You always want to use water-based media on here. So this one's the glow-in-the-dark one, but that goes the same for the holographic vinyl sticker papers, and just the printable vinyl papers too. They come in white too. All right, but anyways, that looks it looks a little bit extreme, but that'll glow in the dark when I turn off the lights too. Let's put a little bit of white pigment ink over the top of that too. I'll add a little bit. I added a little bit more. I kind of applied some of this white pigment ink onto the moon before I cut it out too. So if someone has your card up somewhere, it's kind of fun. They might not even know that it glows in the dark, but if they have it on display anywhere and they flip off the lights, it'll be, they'll get that glowing moon. It's like a little bonus, quality to your scene, which I think is kind of fun. Or if you had like little stars or something like that, that would be cool. Okay, I'm going in with my colored pencil again. I was looking up here with the moon. I would just want to kind of frame it off a little bit more with some additional tones on the side like that. You have lots of gel pens, not used much in quite a while. Yeah. The gel pens did. Do you remember what brands you were using, Bill? If you're using the Uniball, the Signo Uniball Signos, they might still work for you, or the jelly rolls for sure. But some of the other ones, yeah, they clog up. The thing that the comments that I got on one of my videos where I was kind of testing out some of the different techniques of unclogging the pens that I've heard before. Some of the comments, or multiple comments on that were that if you put them in, like maybe the tips in like some hot water, you know what I mean? Maybe not boiling water or something like that, but they said that kind of loosened up the clog, or the clogging, and that could potentially get those pens working again. And I think I think other people confirm that, but it might not do it for every pen, but you might be able to get some of them going. What I did with my gel pens was I just kind of, with the cap on, I just kind of whack it in a downward motion like that, and then start scribbling, and that got a lot of them working again. But yeah, that was with some brands. Some brands just, it seemed like once they started clogging up, that was it with them. But I think that's what the ones that had a little bit more of, oh, the gel was like drying, so it wasn't just clogged in the tip or something like that with a lot of standard liquid gel in the back. It was probably where the gel actually started, getting a little bit harder. So, you know, I couldn't get them flowing again. But again, the Uniball Signos were really good ones for me. Okay, let's see. Let's go a little bit darker down here too. Kind of creating a little bit more contrast again. Sometimes if you go a little bit darker in some areas, the lighter areas seem a little bit lighter by contrast, okay? But I think this is just about done. What would be cool in here is if you did a little bit of a, oh, see, I haven't used my silver pen in ages, but this would be kind of interesting to put a little bit of like silver glitter in here or something like this. But here's, looking at this to see if I've even used it before. Yeah, okay. I'm going to put a few little, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but oh, that looks pretty good there. This is a silver pen, so I'm getting this really reflective, sparkly look with it. Huh. Let me use a little bit more of it. I'm going to use it in some of my trees to have it a little bit more of this reflective light. The silver kind of, it doesn't really match perfectly, but you know, with that glow-in-the-dark moon, because the glow-in-the-dark moon's kind of got a little bit of a warm greenish tinge to it, but I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can kind of angle it. Oh, I don't know if I can show you guys this, but there's these little sparkly touches in here with that silver glitter. Look at this right here. If I angled some of that, that brilliance is kind of reflective in there, like that. If you kind of angle it at a certain angle, right there. All right, now there's a lot of different textures on here. Speaking of a different kind of, glowing little areas like this. This one's going to get sprayed using a Krylon spray fixative, okay? Especially with alcohol inks, because alcohol inks can get that, that shiny kind of glaze on there, and it doesn't match some of the other textures. So if you spray this right here, it'll unify the textures, so you'll get the benefit of, all the different richnesses and textures of those things. But from a kind of a harmony, textural harmony aspect, it'll unify them. And it's fine going over the top of that moon too with the spray fixative too. But anyways, I'll do something like that. I don't know, I'll kind of matte this in, maybe like a little bit of white. Something like that would be kind of interesting. Like that, put a little bit of a white border around it like this, and maybe the wood grained thing like that would look good, in terms of, I'm not going to use this paper, but going around the edge like that. Just kind of having this warmth contrasting against this blue would look good. Or I have this dark blue or black glossy cardstock too. So it'd look like a black lacquer type of framing, that you see on a lot of different types of prints too. So, but I think I like this one right here. All right. Anyways, thanks for checking it out. Good chatting with you, Bill. Let's see, what do you say here? Tan Mitt and Cali Art were the pens I bought in sets. I don't know that first one there. I have a few jelly rolls that never... Jelly rolls are amazing, huh? I mean, I had those jelly roll pens for, I don't know, 25 years or something like that. And when I tested them out, they were still flowing beautifully. It was really amazing. Now, why can't they, I mean, that was like 25 years ago or whenever when those things came out. It's like, why can't they make unless the chemistry is just different with those particular colors, just use that same formula across all of the different colors. Unless, it's like, kind of, what is it? Engineered obsolescence or something like that. They don't want pens that are going to last you 20 years because you're never going to rebuy them. But, the same can be said if you have some pens that only last like a few years and they clog up, you're probably not going to buy that brand ever again. So, anyway, I don't know. Yeah, test them out, see if they still work for you. I still have a lot of my um, gel pens, and they worked pretty good. The latter ones that I got, like the 180 color set with 180 refills, those ones worked beautifully, but they were a little bit more watery. But again, I think they did that so that they wouldn't clog. But using that roller tip for me, I mean, it worked, but just the free flowing type of tip on the acrylic paint pens gave me an easier application of the marks that I was going for. Whereas if I was maybe writing something in cursive or, doing lettering or something like that, maybe with that roller ball tip, maybe that would work really good, for that part too. I don't know, these work for that too, but just having that roller kind of aspect of it, that interfered with some of my applications at times because it would roll up media into the ball. So, could you see the silver there, Bill? Yeah, I wasn't sure if you could. Like, I can see it here. They look really similar to the white, but let's see, I'm looking at this piece. The camera's coming, just directly down, but where I'm looking at it from an angle, let me see if you can. Okay, I was going to say, yeah, see down here? Like that. You can see those kind of dots kind of sparkle a little bit more, like right here. The thing about the silver is it kind of blends in like that, but then you angle it like that, and it gives that more reflective light. So it's like a darker dot, but in the light, it's a lighter dot. So it's kind of fun. It's like one of those other things that are kind of showing up, at different angles. So different angles, different lighting, just like that little glow in the dark moon up there. Flip off the lights and you get a different looking scene. So, yeah. All those little surprise things you can, if you're sending a card to someone, it's kind of fun to do those little types of surprises in there. All right. Thanks for checking out the night scene. We have some others that we'll be finishing off from the live stream on Friday night. I want to really finish some of these off. This one right here, I was thinking about kind of this moodier kind of gray sky in here. I don't know, we could go the opposite too and make it like super bright and all these, colors in here, but that's the one I was thinking about with this. This one right here, I'm not sure. It'd be kind of cool with like I wonder if I want to do like an aurora borealis in here. But the thing is, aurora borealis, northern light type of thing, you'd want to have more sky typically. But maybe we can have it reflected down here. That'd be kind of interesting because all the movement's going this way. So if we had something kind of more vertical in the background, that would be cool. I don't know. But then again, this one right here, if we emphasize this kind of sloping movement with these streaks going this way too in the sky and the area down below, maybe that would be more appropriate. I can do it both ways. It's easy to restamp this on a different piece of paper too. I guess if I did an aurora borealis on this one, I might want to do it in on glossy cardstock just so it's so much more vibrant. This one right here, I don't really need to do very much more on this one, but I think I wanted to add like a quote stamp up here. Maybe a little bit more white effects, but this is the suede paper right here. This one's really fun. I really liked working on that suede. This one right here, some shading and a little bit of lighting in here would be good on the antique paper. So anyways, I'll be finishing these off, and I can't wait to do them. I'll be doing them probably one at a time on some different streams. So I don't know. Watch for that if anyone's interested in checking those other finishes out. Plus, I want to do some other completely different compositions on things like the foils and the metallics and the holographic papers using these new stamps too. So I don't know. Looking forward to those experiments. Have to do the dishes and work on Christmas cards. Oh, yeah, I hear you. I haven't done any of that either. I'm getting less and less Christmas cards these days, but yeah, I should look into that. It's like the 15th. I usually end up doing like New Year's cards instead. You know, it's like, oh my God, Christmas came upon us too fast. New Year's cards. All right, folks, have a great rest of evening, day, whatever time it is for you. Thanks for checking out the scene. And yeah, fun with the larches here. Larch trees. All right, good night.